Hello and welcome, everyone. We'll kickstart in a couple of minutes. I'm glad to see so many people. Glad to see so many people joining. And I see Ashish also entered. I thought that Ashish should be late, so I started the stream. But let me see if I can add Ashish to the stream. Hold on. Yeah, here he is. Ashish cannot hear you, so you need to probably adjust your headphones. And while you are doing that, let me ask folks that how many badges have you got till now? As you know, there are 6 badges to be grabbed. 5 sessions already in. So I've seen people getting 5 badges, but how many badges have you got? Feel free to just type while Ashish is adjusting his headphone. And then I'm going to add everyone else. Oh, cool. People have got 5, 5, 4, 4. Amazing. I love it. Cool. Wow. I love, like, people seems to be really, I think we need to increase the complexity of the 6th quiz. It seems to be too easy, or people are paying too much, focus, which is great. Amir, I know you'll be easily catching up. 3 is great. If I talk about the stats, no, Ashish, I cannot hear you yet. If I talk about the stats, let me see. I did take out the stats of how many people got how many badges. Give me just one moment. Let me see. Week 1, 782 people. Let me paste it here in the chat if I can. Hold on. Let me paste this here in the chat. How many people got how many badges? Yes, here it is. So week 1 is 72 people. Week 2 is 522. Week 3, 389. Week 4, 307. And week 5, 170 people have got badges till now. Now, what would that mean is that till October 31st, you would have time to get all the badges. And once you get all the badges, you'll be eligible for the certificate. Ashish, let's see. Let's do an audio test.
Yeah, can you hear me
Yes.
okay now? Oh,
Now I can
good.
hear you.
Yeah, technology and Saturday is like always tricky. But yeah, thanks Prasad for starting it over, and I'm so happy to see a lot of people joining in now. Before we move on, I wanted to ask one question to everyone. What was your best BESA moment so far in this batch? What was something which you always will remember, or you excited about, or what you enjoyed the most? So let us know in the chat what was the best thing about BESA this time, what you liked, what worked well for you, and what was the aha moment, as we call it. Let's know about that, and then we will talk about others. And we can see other people joined us also. So we have Kavya and then Carol. Jeff is here. Marco is there with golden jacket. So Marco, that is too shiny. You have to stop it.
Let's start adding people, right? So I'm going to
Yeah,
add
let
people
me
now.
add the people to the stage. So here is the golden jacket person, Marco, Kavya. Let me add Carol. Sorry, my bad. Yep, everyone is here. So yeah, it's good. And I'm
Parna, once
seeing
you'll be
some.
on camera, we will be adding you too.
Parna is busy with Diwali celebration or what?
No, she's here. She's here.
Okay, good. So yeah, means I really like the experience and enjoyed analogies. Thanks for that. VMware session. Thanks Ranga for that. Hi from Bangkok. Good thing, Abhishek. And many keynotes, Prasad, VMware, and then last batch demo. That was good. So interesting thing. Thanks everyone.
Glad
And
to see some people like the Kahoot. I felt like Kahoot at that time was because we were cramping too many things in one
I
session.
agree.
Yeah, but glad to see that people enjoyed Kahoot, so we can try and do that more. But yeah, that's great.
Great. So let's get started with our technical track, and then will Carol and Kavya would go over with some modernization thing. Really interesting thing because a lot of customer have migrated to cloud. Now they want to leverage the best out of the cloud, and that's why modernization becomes very important. So let's hear from them. A lot of demos are coming up, and keep your questions coming in the chat. All of us would try our best to answer that. So over to you, Carol and Kavya. Thank you so much.
And before we
Yeah, go
switch,
ahead.
there is a surprise by Marco at the end. So do stay tuned till
Yep.
the end. There will be a surprise announcement from Marco. For yeah,
Thank you.
cool.
Take care.
So with that, we'll let Carol and Kavya take it over.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let me try to figure out the sharing again. I'm going to share just a couple of slides. We are actually going to focus on demos today. So yay, we get to watch interesting things instead of listening to us just talking the whole time. Bear with me 1 second. I cannot click and talk at the same time. All right, and someone here in the studio, let me know when you can see my screen share. Should be coming.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome. All right, I don't have much talking to do about this. I just wanted to review really quickly what we covered last week, just in case you haven't been able to catch up and watch that video yet. We covered the modernization pathways, and that was how AWS helps organize and plan for modernization. And we covered patterns. So we covered microservices, Strangler, Fig, PubSub, and Saga orchestration. Easy for me to say. So what we are going to demo for you today, first we're going to do the Strangler Fig, and then we're actually going to do the PubSub fan out. Now, please be patient with us today because poor Kavya and I have had a crazy busy week, and you know how it is when you demo and things can always go wrong. We only got to run through this like once or twice together. So bear with us. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. If not, we'll explain what's happening. All right, so the second piece of this, so I am going to show you the Strangler Fig. The second piece of this, decided to add a little bit of flair. As an SA, we are often providing over-the-shoulder guidance, not actually doing hands-on in our customer accounts. There's two reasons for that. One, we don't want to make any mistakes in a customer's account that would cost them dearly. So there's a little bit of that legal and compliance. But also, I really feel like it helps a lot when the person is doing it themselves and they are able to like pause and ask questions. And a lot of times, you know, when you're providing this over-the-shoulder guidance, you're actually able to have the customer fill in some blanks. Like if you draw a blank and you forget to tell them where to click, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's right over here. But it kind of helps them understand and learn faster rather than just doing it for them. So I think everybody can kind of relate to that, considering you all are on this learning journey. So for our second piece of this, Kavya has run through this, and I know she knows it well, but we're going to do a little role play, and I'm going to give her some over-the-shoulder guidance, and we'll see how that goes. It'll be kind of interesting. We're a little nervous. All right, so our first architecture, you probably remember this from last week, is Strangler Fig. And I'm actually going to walk you through this myself, just adding a proxy integration in API Gateway and adding a new service and testing that out. One of the things I want to note is that the modernization pathways and patterns workshop that you all have been going through week by week actually does show you this. However, the instructions tell you just to ask, I think, QCLI, right, to go ahead and build this for you. So if you were to look behind the scenes in your account after asking QCLI to do this for you, you'd see something very similar to what I'm going to show you how to set up today. Yeah, so with that said, let's go ahead and get to the demo. And bear with me, I'm going to stop sharing and reshare my AWS account. Resharing. All right. Kavya, can you confirm for me if you can see my console window?
Yes, we can see a console. Could
Awesome.
you zoom in a little bit?
I can.
Yeah, this looks good.
Better? Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and let's talk a little bit about what I have already set up for us and what we're going to do here. So what I have is just like in the workshop that you all are able to access and run in your own accounts, I actually am going to run this right against EC2. I didn't actually have time to move it to the storefront UI to an S3. So I'm just going to proxy this directly to the EC2 instance. But let's take a look at that. So if I go ahead and open EC2, you can see that I have a monolith. It's got everything running on this one EC2 instance. These are not microservices. It's this mono to micro instance I have running. It's, whoops, I did not need to click on this one. And bear with me as my screen's a little slow, delay. And you can see that we have indeed a running EC2 instance. And we've got this public DNS right here of EC2 Compute 1, Amazon AWS.com. I did not do a special DNS entry for you. So let's take a look at what's running on that. This is where I'm giving a little cheat, first of all. And we have the unicorn shop, where you can shop for floats, anything that has anything to do with unicorns. And I think we're all familiar with this, but that is indeed running on that EC2. Now, I am going to show you what I actually originally had up on the screen. We've got different API endpoints already on this EC2. So if I went, all I had to do was type /API/unicorns, and I'll even pretty print this for us. And you can see this is the same, this is that same storefront via API access. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this first step and go to API Gateway and create a proxy. And that proxy plus, which is a greedy path, as a resource. And the reason why we're going to do that is because adding that proxy plus says send all traffic that is after this URL with API in it to this monolith, right? Just like we talked about last week. So let's go ahead and go into API Gateway.
Carol, if you don't mind, would you zoom in a little bit more? We see requests for zooming in. Yes, thank you.
And one of the things maybe we can do, I don't know how you all feel about this, is I don't know if Ashish or one of you can maybe get rid of us. You don't need to necessarily see us as we're presenting. If that would give more space to the demo, that might also help. Up to you. I'm okay if you don't. Just keep letting me know. Let me go back here and talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new API. You can ignore the setups API that I created a long time ago for a completely different purpose. So I'm going to create an API, and I am going to create a REST API. And yes, I'm going to create a new API, and we're going to call it Unishop. It's going to be regional. IPv4 is fine. Let's go ahead and click create. Now, we want to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and create a new resource. I like to start my APIs with an empty resource here. Let's go ahead and create one. And this is where we're going to select proxy resource. So let's take a look at this. Proxy resources handle requests to all sub resources. And one way you can think about this is all the sub paths of the URL. So we're going to create one that was EC2 instance /API. And it's almost like a star. Like think of it like asterisk, like API / anything. So we are going to use a path parameter, and we're going to type this just like it says, proxy plus. And we'll go ahead and create the resource. Now we've got this resource for Proxy Plus that says send all the traffic that comes in down through here to anything that's after this proxy. So now we need to create a method because we still don't even have an endpoint for this proxy, right? So let's go ahead and create method any HTTP proxy any. And now I want to get this endpoint. I'm copying and pasting for you. Bear with me. Proxy. We're just going to pass through that content so that any downstream or child resources underneath of here will just get the payload as it is. It's really just passing it through this proxy. Nothing else really needs to be set up. And here we go. All right, so now we have a proxy integration. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can test this by selecting, we'll use method get. We want to get those unicorns. So the proxy value is going to be unicorns. And I don't even need any parameters. Let's test it. And look at that. We have proxied the request from that's coming into API Gateway directly to that unicorns endpoint where we have a giant glitter unicorn pool floaty. Who doesn't want one of those?
Awesome. I have a question here. So do we consider these unicorns as a microservice now?
No. This is going to that EC2. There's a function within that EC2 running within the application that has this path. So if you notice, this is on an EC2. This is not actually a microservice yet.
Okay, thank you.
But that's a great question. Right now, we're just passing all the traffic to the EC2. The EC2 is handling that routing. All right, so next, let's go ahead and create a new path. So let's say that we have a microservice now for creating a user. And if I will show you really quick in Lambda that I already actually have a create, scroll for you. Hopefully everybody can see. I'm kind of blown up pretty bigly, large.
Yeah, it is good.
Okay, good. So we've got a create user function I've already created as a microservice so that a new user can be added to this to browse, purchase, get a basket and check out and purchase a glitter floaty if they want to. Now this create user function actually has a DynamoDB backend. So we're going to go ahead and test that DynamoDB backend. Let's open that link in a new tab. And sorry, it's very large, so it's a little bit hard for me to browse through. But if you'll take a look here, we've got this Unishop users that's attached to our Lambda. So we're going to test this out after attaching it to the API gateway, routing traffic to creating new users for our website, and make sure that it is actually publishing new users. All right, so we have, let's go back up to this resource and create a new resource. And we are not making this one a proxy, and we're going to call it users. Create resource. So now we have a new resource called users, and we need to create a method. And we are going to make this a post method. So this is not a proxy. This is not greedy and saying any method works. This is only, we want to post a new user. That's what our microservice does. Remember that microservices do a very specific task. And in this case, all it's doing is creating new users. So I'm going to go ahead and close some of these messages in case that gives us more room. I selected the method of type of post. I'm going to integrate it with a Lambda, which is just one of the easy out-of-the-box capabilities of API Gateway. And we can use a Lambda proxy integration, but I'm going to skip doing that. Structured event. That's really about the event structure and setup, and we don't really have time to get through all of that today. So I definitely encourage you to look into what's a proxy versus a non-proxy. But just like it's super easy here in the console, I'm going to scroll back up to the top, create a new message with post. I'm going to select the integration type as Lambda. I'm going to come down here and it's going to let me pick which Lambda I want to integrate it with. And of course, I definitely encourage looking at integration timeouts, method request settings. You can get really fancy, just like in every other API and API proxy tools that are out there. So I do encourage you, if you're interested in this kind of thing, to read into that, but we don't need it for ours. So I'm going to go ahead and select create method. Now let's go ahead and test this. Oh, before we do this, we should probably deploy this API. And I don't have a stage, so I'm going to create a new stage. I'm just going to call it prod. Hey, we're not doing any testing. We're not doing any development. We're going straight to prod. Not a good idea in real life, folks. We all know this, right? Okay, so I have deployed this to prod. Now let's go ahead and go back to this users method and test it, this post method, and test it. So I can come down here to test, and I don't have any query strings, but I definitely need a request body, because what are we doing with this method? What are we doing with this microservice? We're creating new users. So I am going to use, and by the way, this is in JSON syntax. I am going to use our lovely co-host Kavya as a new user for our system. And by the way, it does have capabilities if you need to reformat your JSON. If you're like me and you switch back and forth between JSON, YAML, JSONata, I really like the ability for this like easy formatting. So apparently I did a good job. It didn't find any major issues with the way I had JSON. And let's go ahead and click test. Oh, error code while fetching the user. Apologies. Let's see. Of course, the demo, this worked just fine yesterday, but let's see what the problem is. And I won't spend too, oh, this was supposed to be a post method, not a get method. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on here. And of course, I don't want to troubleshoot this live, but let's go ahead and assume that this had worked. And I want to make sure this is a post method. And let's take a look at the DynamoDB again. So if we want to explore items, Unishop users, we have what I did yesterday as
it perfectly worked yesterday.
It worked perfectly, of course. So you can see that I added myself as well to the users. And so without troubleshooting the API gateway, and of course, always something happens when I'm doing a demo, so I apologize for that, but you can easily see that this is really not difficult. You do want to do a little troubleshooting later, we can do that, and I can send out like a quick update with a video or something like that if people are really curious on seeing this work. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to pause there. And we want to switch over. Oh, and by the way, again, I kind of mentioned this in the beginning, the modernization workshop that you all are walking through in your own accounts as part of this series. You should be able to go ahead into your API Gateway console and see something very similar to how this is working. So hopefully that works. I'm going to pause on sharing, and we're going to go back and talk through the next section where we're going to show you the pub sub or fan out pattern. And a couple of clicking. One more second. All right, so hopefully you all, this is coming up. Hopefully you will see. Let me know, Kavya, when it shows up for you. Was that a yes? You can see it, or it's still coming?
It's still coming.
Okay. Let's try
Meanwhile, we have a question around the topic we discussed, asking why is it proxy and not proxy plus in the URL?
So proxy, that's a great question, actually. Thank you for asking that. The plus is actually a nomenclature that says, that tells API Gateway anything. So I could have hit unicorns, I could have hit users, I could have hit unicorn basket. That plus is really the indicator. And what I typed proxy plus when I set up the resource and the method. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no.
Oh, okay. When I set mine up, I went ahead and typed proxy plus for the, just so that it made sense. But I could have typed anything. I could have called it unicorns plus. I could have typed, I could have typed shopping basket plus. It didn't really matter what I called it. That plus is indicative that yes, we selected type of proxy, and that plus is kind of it's actually akin to, just think of it as star or asterisk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that's a great explanation. Yes. Now the question is answered.
Awesome. Okay. I am resharing. Let me know if that worked.
You're still waiting for it.
Really? It says it's sharing.
Yeah, now I can see the screen.
Awesome. All right. So this should look a little bit familiar to you if you attended last week or watched the video. What we're doing a little bit differently is a slightly different application, right? So this is the pub sub fan out architecture where we have a pet owner who is submitting a request for a new pet insurance policy via our website. So last week we kind of showed the rideshare, like your rideshare driver submitting a completed request. This week, just because this is what I actually had already built, and we were able to reuse some of that infrastructure's code to show this. So what we're going to show you in the next demo is we have a new policy request from a pet owner coming through, and that's coming through to a Lambda. That Lambda, what we're going to show you is we are going to create an SNS topic for new policy requests, and we're going to notify a couple of downstream capabilities like pet portal notification or maybe the pet counter, either one. And then the large account notification is another subscriber. So what we're also going to show you is that SNS, we're going to filter this out so that the large account notification only happens when the pet count is greater than 2. All right. And this is also where we're going to do a little bit of our role play with over-the-shoulder support with Kavya. So I am so excited, and just like Wednesday, I want her to show me. All right, so I'm going to stop screen sharing, and I am going to let Kavya take over.
Yes, let me take over and start sharing my screen.
And I get to try to tell her in front of all of you how to do this. And I will say, she actually already knows how to do this. So anywhere that I mess up, she will be able to show us.
Yes, could you please confirm if you can see my screen here?
It's coming. There we go. Yep, I see it
Awesome.
now. And of course,
All right.
if you want to make that bigger.
Yes, I would do that.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
So what we're showing first. So Kavya has already opened up our new policy request Lambda. If you all remember what that looked like on the architecture screen. And what we need to do now is, Kavya, if you will open up SNS or Simple Notification Service, we need to create a new topic. So as an essay who's just learning, all about AWS, we are going to take a look at, so you've already created the topic. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I was actually going to have you step through creating a topic, but that's okay. So it's really simple. You literally just create a new topic, and I think it's basically there you go. A standard type, you name it, and what else? Hit go. That's it.
That's it.
Now, there are, and you do want to look at some of those encryption settings, especially if you're doing things across account with SNS. But today, we're just doing something super simple. So let's go ahead and select that new policy request. Take a look at it. Super simple. And now what we need to do is, have you already added this ARN of this new policy requests into the Lambda?
Yes.
So let's go back to the Lambda and take a look at that really quick.
Sure. Let me move
So
back
what
to
we
the
needed,
Lambda.
yeah, look at all the Lambdas she has. That's awesome. That's my favorite.
Sorry about that.
No, I love it. All right. So in this Lambda that we built just using some simple Python is a section where we want to say trigger, when we get a new request, we need to trigger the SNS. So let's scroll down to where you had to add that ARN to your Lambda. There you go. So the response to the Lambda code is going to say publish to SNS, and there simply we add the topic ARN. I don't expect everybody now to understand all of the Python. If you do, if you're like me and you love Python, then you'll understand that this makes a lot of sense. But basically in our code, we're saying send the event that we're getting after we do a little processing to the topic. All right.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get out of, we'll leave this tab out there. Why don't you go back to the SNS topic?
Yes.
And we will take a look at creating a subscription. So if you recall, we had two downstream subscribers. So remember, this is called a pub sub or publish subscribe. I call it fan out all the time, but because it looks like a fan, right? So let's go ahead and we've got our publisher. That's the new policy Lambda. And it's publishing to this topic that's new policy requests. Let's go ahead and select our downstream Lambdas. Notice that Lambda, can you pause on that? Can you go back to that drop down? I just want everyone to take a look at all of the available endpoints that you could be publishing to. You can publish SNS to SQS, SNS, HTTP endpoints, HTTPS endpoints, Kinesis. So there are a lot of ways to fan out your data to downstream consumers. In this case, we just have two Lambdas that we're going to select. If you want to go ahead and choose that Lambda, and let's go ahead and select your endpoint. And I think, were we doing our pet counter or pet portal? Either one, pet portal.
Pet portal notification.
Let's do that one. And go ahead and let's save that. Create your subscription.
Okay.
Of course,
It
our demo
says-
gods are angry with us for some reason. Oh, it already exists.
Let
So-
me check it once again.
Yeah, if you go to Lambda, you just have to go and
Just delete this one.
yes. Is that already? Did you already have? Is it there? Okay.
Let us check
I think
what
so.
the issue is.
This is a great thing about doing over the shoulder is like I am not sure what all Calvin may have done like while we were offline, right? So definitely real life here. All right, so we've got pet portal notification subscription. Interesting. Yeah. This is what happens when you do practice too. Sometimes if we don't clean up what we did. So do me a favor, hit cancel and I'll show you what the problem is. This is also live troubleshooting. Woohoo!
Okay.
So let's go to your Lambda console and open up that pet portal notification Lambda.
Sure.
I bet you it still has a trigger.
Oh, got it. Yes.
Yes. So let's go ahead and click on, if you scroll down, I think, yeah, click on that and delete.
Delete it. Okay.
Yeah. So, it's funny over time, I've seen a lot of things happening in AWS where like you may have deleted that notification, but if you don't go and remove it from the Lambda, then it'll stick around because AWS is afraid of deleting stuff on your behalf.
Wow, I learned it today, just today.
Yep, you did, right? So, all right. So let's go back to that SNS subscription and resubscribe that Lambda.
Yes, let me delete the existing one here. Create a new one.
And I'm seeing a bunch of interesting comments that are so true. You learn more from the errors that you get than when you have like smooth performance. When you do have to troubleshoot, that is 100%. 100%. I cannot tell you how much I've learned from banging my head against the wall because I'm getting an error I don't understand.
Yeah,
so
completely agree with that.
This is where your learn and be curious skills are going to be really big. Like bang your head against the wall, figure it out, and you will never forget. Right? That's how I know so quickly to tell you to go to that Lambda and get rid of the trigger, right?
Yes.
You think that has happened to me before? It definitely has. All right, yeah. So let's go ahead. You created that subscription. Let's go back to the new policy request Lambda and let's test it. So if I recall, I would go to that test tab just in case.
Yes.
You don't have to if you don't want to. This is also preference, and I should not have done that. By the way, that was a bad move on my part. I prefer the test tab because I could reformat the JSON using the little one-click button there. Yeah. And the other little test button, I know that from the code view, doesn't give you that. So, by the way, just so you all know, these are actually my pets.
Kitty, kitty, bang, bang.
Yep. Kitty, kitty, bang, bang is my barn cat, and Otis is my goat. All right. So let's go ahead and hit send.
Okay, test there.
Yeah, test. Please work. Please work. Yay! So now, where do we want to go see this? We want to go make sure that pet portal notification Lambda was triggered and that it ran. So if you want to hop over to that pet portal notification Lambda and check the CloudWatch logs by going to the monitor.
Okay,
and then click on
CloudWatch logs to see if this is
yes, just
invoked.
to see if it was triggered, invoked. Right. Now you can actually see if you really just want to see whether or not it was invoked. You can see if there was a duration spike on the tabs.
Okay.
I like to do what you did, which is let's go ahead and go to the view CloudWatch logs like you did and scroll down and let's see if it triggered today.
Yes, it did.
Yay! Awesome. And awesome. So that is our latest. That just happened a few minutes ago. So we know that the SNS subscription is working and triggering that Lambda. But we have one more to do. Let's go back over to the SNS topic. Yes. And go ahead and click on, let's create another subscription. What we want to show is that large event notification. So we've got we've got, we only want that large event notification to happen if there are 2 or more pets. So we're going to go ahead and click on create subscription.
Before that, I'm going to delete the trigger, which is attached to large account notification as well.
Oh, you've already tested that one too. Okay, cool.
Yes. Let me open that. And let's delete this one.
Yep. Perfect.
And let's go back to the new request. Oops.
And it's funny, I was noticing in the chat too, I will address what Marco had wrote. Number 1 rule of live demos, don't do live demos. And I will tell you that is so true. That if you really want it to work, don't do it live. Because there's always something like, for all I know, I might have accidentally got nervous and skipped a step in the API gateway. And that's why it's not working, but I won't be able to figure it out live.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'll see often is people will record their demos and record a really good one and then show that. Now, my problem with that is I can tell it's recorded. I know you're not live, and I don't get to like interact with the crowd when I record. So while yes, it's a very good idea to record a demo, know your audience. If people would rather see you maybe make a mistake and fix it, or make a mistake and move on, then maybe live is okay. But I agree with Marco. If it's a really big deal, record it first.
Yes.
All right. So sorry, I went off the rails there a little bit. Let's get back on track. What we're doing now is creating another subscription to another Lambda that is only going to look for things that are when the policy request has more than 2 pets.
Okay.
So you went ahead and found that large account notification. It's a large account because there's more than 1 pet on there, right? So there's a goat and a cat. Oh my gosh, that's a large account apparently. So let's go ahead and create a subscription filter policy.
Yes.
And this is actually a great way to not actually do a whole lot of work. You can have one topic, you can have multiple subscribers, and each of them can have their own different filtering like I only want this subset of messages, that events that you're sending through. Okay. So Kavya went ahead and put in our large event notification. Do you want to explain what this means?
Yes. So we are now doing a large account notification, which means that it should have more number of pets. So here in this case, we are considering that more number as 2, which means if there is only pet type 2, we think that as a large account notification, and that's what we have mentioned here. If that exists, then go ahead and invoke my Lambda there.
Yeah. So in summary, if there's more than 1 pet, then there's going to be a pet type 2. Therefore, we only want to get notified if pet type 2 exists. So very good. Hopefully that was super simple and maybe gives you all some ideas on how to filter events in an interesting way. Because that was definitely one when we were figuring out like, hey, what's the best way to write this given the data that we're coming through? Oh, a second pet has to exist if it's a large account. So, pet type 2 exists. That's easy.
Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and create the subscription.
Successfully.
Yay. So we successfully created the subscription. Let's go ahead and test it and see if this comes through.
Okay. We are just using the same test event here. And then test. Succeeded. So now let's move on to large account notification. And like Carol, you were mentioning, we can monitor using the monitor tab here, and then CloudWatch logs, correct?
Yep. Perfect. See, this is another great thing to do. Notice that I just kind of shut up and let Kavya talk. I'm kind of testing to see this is a great thing to do. Not testing, like not formal tests, but kind of sense to see where the customer or the person you're working with, how they're doing. Are they kind of picking up with what they're going on? So yeah, just calling that out from a guided situation. All right, so I'll let you keep going.
So yes, we can see that the event is successfully triggered, which means we are able to send our topic, invoke a lambda, because we have two pet types. One is goat and one is cat.
Yay!
So successfully we have completed the execution here.
Now, Kavya, can we do the test to show
Yes.
only one pet, or if
Sure.
we want to, up to you.
Yeah, let's do pet type 3. And in reality, we don't have a third pet type in our code. So let's just maybe test with that filter, making it as 3. So we can see
Okay.
that there's only pet type 2.
So you go ahead and start working on that, and I'm going to kind of re-explain. So now we want to consider large accounts only those customers that have more than 3 pets. And then we're going to send the test through and show. Now, before you test this, let's go ahead and delete the CloudWatch logs so that we can prove that nothing's there on the large pet.
For sure.
So if it's got a third pet, then it's truly a large account. So what we want to show you by saying we only want to see things with 3 pets is that the filter's actually working, right? We're not. We should see no CloudWatch log for this latest test. So okay, great. Go ahead and test.
Yes.
You can talk through it as you're doing if you want.
And let me go to the test tab and test it here with the same records.
Yep. And it succeeded really fast. Like your internet connection must be awesome. That is not mine. It would have been slow.
Oh no. Let's open the CloudWatch logs here. Oh, this is
nope, that's your
the
new
one
policy.
I should test.
You want the large one. There you go.
Yes. Let me refresh and view the CloudWatch logs. Yay. There are no
There's
logs.
Nothing. Yay. Why? Because our SNS subscription filter filtered it out and did not send it. So, all right. Well, with just 10 minutes left at the top of the hour, I think that we are good to go. I hope everyone has enjoyed our time. And was there anything that you wanted to talk about, or wondering if there's any questions that maybe we can answer from the chat?
Yeah, as a customer, I would like to summarize what I have just did. So I took some data which I am sending to new policy through my test event here. And these are my pet names and values. And that data is being passed to, we are making 2 notifications to take that data and invoke 2 other lambdas, which are large account notification and pet portal notification. So whenever we trigger this source, those topics needs to be activating or invoking the lambda functions and working in the backend. And that's what we just tested, right?
Correct. Very good. Very good summary. All right. So what else if there are any questions? No. All right. So I'm going to switch back. I'm going to take over sharing and switch back to the final slide that has a couple of additional links on it. And if I can, it'll take me the whole last 10 minutes to do this, right? And first I need to present, then I get to share. Here we go. Oh, good question. Someone has asked, can I add email as a subscriber and send email based on filter instead of invoking Lambda? Absolutely. So this is what we had just shown. And I just wanted to wrap this up with the modernization patterns and pathways. This is the same slide that we showed last week, but hopefully this is helpful for anybody who wants to take a look. And I think, yes, we can absolutely share the link to the modernization workshop that a lot of this content was based on. I definitely recommend, if you need to double check in your accounts to make sure that any of the services that are created aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg in your own account. But you can definitely check out that serverlessland.com workshops. One that's really fun, I think is fun to learn more of these modernization integration patterns, is the Innovator Island. So it's like a roller coaster rides, and you have to develop the queues for that. So definitely a really fun one to check out. Just remember, make sure you delete everything is wiped out of your account so it doesn't charge you. But yeah, I think somebody will add, again, it is on the BSA program website, like I think all the links that to the modernization workshop for this batch. And that's it. Anything else? I don't know if we do have our behavioral chat coming up next. So
Yes.
I don't know, Prasad, if you want to start introducing Jeff, and
Yes.
or if we have any. I know we also have a surprise coming, so I don't know if we want to ignore that until the end and make everybody watch all the way to the end.
I think we can do that. What do you think, Ashish? Because we still have some time for Jeff and Raj to get go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's talk about that first. Thanks for it's great session, Kavya and Carolia. It's a good thing. Like their demo doesn't go always as planned, but that is where we learn the most. And whatever you learn on that manner, you will never forget it. So
Yep.
that's a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it happened with me once on AWS Summit stage. I always
Oh,
prefer live coding.
Oh no!
I blame it to network. I blame it to DNS.
Oh, that's a good. Oh, the network broke. The network broke.
But, as always, for these big stage events, you need to keep a recording as a standby, that in case if it doesn't work. So that's what I had to switch back to a recording, but it's all it's fine.
So how did you do that smoothly? Like, you're so far into your demo. Did you have to like fast forward through the recording to get to where you were in your demo?
Yeah, I know exactly, because I have reversed it, because when we go on this stage, we rehearse this too many times, right?
Yeah, you do have to rehearse it a lot.
Yeah, I can actually close my eyes, and then I could have, easily tell that on this second, this was the
2 minutes and 15 seconds in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, let me add Marco to the stage, and then Marco, let's hear it out.
Let me unmute myself. As obvious, it is the season of audio issues. And we're going to have a little bit, I promised everybody a little bit of surprise. And the surprise is we will have a giveaway for everybody who completes the whole training, all of the 6 badges. We'll have a giveaway on November 15, and we will pick 2 winners who will each receive a $50 gift card for Amazon. That's going to be worldwide, anywhere you are. Like if you're in the US, Amazon.com. If you're in Canada, like me, Amazon.ca. If you're in India, Amazon.in. Germany, Amazon.de. So yeah, it's sponsored by Marco Cloud. And I will draw the winners on November 15 in a live event. I have a AWS powered contest that I've prepared for that. So we've got a file that's uploaded to S3 that's got all the everybody in the competition. Then that triggers a Lambda function that reads that file, populates a DynamoDB table, and then that DynamoDB table then triggers another Lambda function, which is the context Lambda, which picks the ID of a random entry, random row, and then prints out the name of the winner. So we'll pick 2 winners live like that. Again, we're going to follow that first rule of live demos. Hopefully,
this awesome serverless architecture that he's using to choose the winners.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Integrations.
So
Love
first
it.
10 minutes we'll explain the architecture, and then we'll do the demo. Then we'll do the
Will
draw.
you walk us through the architecture before announcing?
I
Awesome.
certainly will walk you through the architecture. Of course, it's a serverless.
That would be nice.
Design as it should
good
be.
learning.
In line with the theme of modernization, there are no servers harmed in the process of the context picking. So yeah, fully serverless, 2 code bases. One is just a Python that populates the DynamoDB table, and the other one is I think it's Node.js, just to pick the random winner, just for simplicity. And that kind of also shows the cases for microservices where you don't need to be tied down to a code base when you're doing microservices, when you're doing serverless, when you're doing modern applications. Yeah. So we're going to both learn something and pick some winners and motivate everybody to complete all of your learning.
Yeah, and when everyone is a winner because you are at least walking away with some learning of the architecture. So yeah, means feel free to join. We'll share more details over the email and the LinkedIn post, like when to join, what time it is, because the time zones are changing. Or sorry, the summer time is coming up into effect in UK, and that's why we have to adjust on the time zone, and then we will roll out an email to everyone and announce on LinkedIn also. So join us on that day too. It would be again to good meet you all after or before the festival season. So all the best for that. And Prasad and I would be sponsoring 3 digital copies of Cloud Career Journey. We are happy to give physical copies, but depending on our user in different part of the world, it would be complicated to ship the physical copy. So that's why we are sticking to digital. And we would be happy to see as many people join that session and walk away with prizes and learning together.
Yeah, if it is website, has to be enablement. It will not be a pure lucky draw kind of stuff.
No way.
There would be architecture, there would be code, there would be enablement, there would be analogies from Ashish. I'm sure Ashish will come up with something on that day. Mark will be showing the serverless architecture. And yes, as Ashish mentioned, we are happy to give away the digital books. If anyone is coming to reInvent, if anyone is based in London, if we are meeting in person, happy to give it away a physical copy too. Let us know in case if you're one of the winner and will be there at reInvent. We'll be more than happy to hand over a physical copy. But shipping them all to different parts of the world gets a bit complicated. Yeah, irrespective if anyone is coming to reInvent, few of us would be there, and we will be planning a small catch up just among ourselves. But in case if anyone is there, feel free to let us know, and we'll see how we can catch up.
Makes sense. Good. And there were question about when the next batch is happening and all. Means I can't believe like it has been like 6 weeks. Time flew so fast. But yeah, means we are coming to end of today. Technical tracks are done. We have one more interesting behavioral track to go through. So we'll go for it. But the next batch we will announce soon. We are still needing preparation. We don't want to just launch a batch for sake of it. A lot of preparation work goes behind the scene. A lot of research goes behind the scenes. Lots of data collection and analysis happen. And then we come up with what would be the best topic or the best skill people should be learning about. So we'll go through that cycle. Hopefully in the February timeframe, we would announce it, and we will keep you updated through email and LinkedIn post. So and Discord channel, obviously. So just watch out for those things.
But in case if you have any suggestions on what topics we should be covering in the next batch, feel free to let us know. If you want to type it here, or in case if you want to send us an email, Discord, whatever, anyways, we'll be sending out an email for a poll. But in case if you have any top of the mind topics that you would like us to cover in the batch, we'll be happy to take the suggestions.
Yeah, and if you like somebody's session or maybe overall, feel free to reach out to people on LinkedIn. People are volunteering their time on Saturday, so a little appreciation would obviously go a long way. So if you feel, hey, you learned something, you enjoyed it, feel free to reach out to people, say just thank you, hello, and build your connection too. It will help you in the long run. So keep on doing that too. That's good. All right. Anything else anyone wants to add before we let it hear from Jeff and Raj, who are going to present our behavioral track?
I think let's add them to the stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why not?
Have Jeff and Raj here.
Hi, Raj.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Last session, no pressure, Jeff and Raj.
We're going to end it strong.
Yeah, that's true. That's important. All right, so we'll remove everyone from the stage and let Raj and Jeff have the session. And please feel free to ask questions. We would be answering questions in the chat and in Discord group. So keep on asking questions. Thank you.
Morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Thank you all for making the time over the previous 5 weeks and today to committing to the learning path we have here and becoming a solution architect. Hopefully everyone can see the screen I have up here today. I promise it's going to be very light on slides today. I'm joined by my coworker, Raj. Raj and I work together a lot with a lot of customers, and we're going to be kind of going through a discussion today. So want to kind of bring everyone back kind of on the behavioral track, because we've been really building, on each one of the weeks, and today will be kind of the culmination thing. So we start off in week 2 talking about, transitioning into the role of cloud solution architect, then moving on into like the workload discovery session that we had. Next up, we discussed how to present target architectures and POCs. And then last week, we talked about, communication across organization levels and how you kind of message things to different people at different levels. And today is the last one. And today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the unhappy path. The previous 4 weeks were really kind of focused on things going well, good discussions, people all kind of buying in. However, that's not the real world all the time. And today we're really going to talk about influence negotiation and the conflict resolution that you're all going to have to perform as solution architects. And to do that today, we'll kind of go through a little bit of a panel type discussion between Raj and myself, really kind of going through some of the things that, as a solution architect, as an aspiring solution architect, that you could probably see, and how you should be kind of getting ready to think about how to prepare yourself and how to respond in kind when you're live in these kinds of things. So Raj, do you want to kind of kick off our panel here today?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday to all of you. So as Jeff mentioned, what we've done is, we've been here. I've been here 5+ years. Jeff has been here a long time, and Jeff is an architect. I am in customer solutions. So we work with customers quite a bit and run into a number of the situations where it's not just technical, because technology is easy. It's more about how do we overcome some of these challenges. So we picked some of the very common topics, and we thought we'll do a role play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume the persona of a customer, asking some questions. Jeff, as a tenured architect here. So with that said, I'm going to start with the first question. As a solutions architect, they may struggle with getting buy-in when they don't have direct authority over teams. You'll be working with multiple teams. So it's all about credibility. How do you build credibility as an architect?
Yeah. Really, I'd say most of my time in career as an architect, you are looking to work people through decisions that you do not have direct authority over. And when it comes to building the credibility with people, and this really goes up and down the ladder at any organization, credibility without authority comes down to 3 things. 1, you have to be technically competent in what you're talking about. 2, you have to build relationships with your stakeholders and the people that you're working with. And 3, you have to produce results. So 1, you got to start by understanding deeply the technology landscape and the business context that you're working in, and stay within your lane, kind of on that technical credibility thing. Build using things, take time to learn things and really invest in where you don't know. And when you get asked questions on things, if you don't know the answer, be honest. You don't know the answer. Don't try to make it up. Really kind of earn trust. You also got to focus on building relationships. Listen more than talk. In week 3 with that workload discovery meeting, we asked a lot of questions. We listened to our stakeholders. There's going to be a time where you're going to do more talking. However, it's going to start by you doing more listening. And then lastly, on that results, focus on delivering, small incremental wins to kind of demonstrate that what you're trying to lead people through is actually achievable. And when you consistently help teams solve problems and make their lives easier, it's naturally a way to kind of earn more trust. And last, I kind of say, remember, people make decisions on facts and on trust and emotion, and they want to know you, they want to believe you. So make those connections with people. It goes a long way.
Yeah, completely agree there, Jeff. So just like in any, whether it's personal or professional. It's all about connecting at the human level,
Mhm.
earning trust, which is one of the Amazon leadership principles. But ultimately, trust-based relationships are critical, correct, to building
Absolutely.
credibility. Yeah, no, a great one. And we run into this quite a bit, and this is an important soft skill to be aware of. Moving on to the next one, Jeff. So solutions architect deal with competing priorities, right, from business units, right? When we work with our customers, and everyone has,
Mhm.
it's their project, their pet project. They have the highest priority. Now, as a solutions architect, how do you handle this effectively?
You're always going to face, competing priorities within the organization that you're working in, and it's going to require you to, work with both structure and diplomacy. I suggest using a framework that evaluates priorities based upon business impact in one dimension, technical urgency in another dimension, and resource availability. And you know because those three together really kind of focus on having something that is a credible solution. It has to deliver value. It has to work technically, or it also has to be something that can be, I'll just call it like affordable. Whether that's affordable in cost, affordable with the skills that you have or the people that you have. Be transparent in the decisions that you're making. Bring stakeholders into the decision-making process and help them see the big picture. It goes a long way when you are making decisions with the people involved and not for the people involved. You want them to feel like it's their architecture. And with that, you'll often find that you can find ways to partially satisfy multiple priorities by identifying shared components or breaking work down into phases. Raja, I'm sure you've seen this a lot in your career as well, where you've had to prioritize things, and curious if you've seen, something where, maybe it wasn't received all that well, and how did you handle it? How did you see the team handle it?
Yeah, one of the early experiences I had was we were working on a database modernization initiative.
Mm,
This was a legacy database, self-managed, and also they were running into a number of challenges with the database as this customer was expanding. So we came in, did a POC, and the database modernization, the new fully managed database was a perfect technical fit. We had the buy-in from technical leadership, but when we went in for the implementation, that's when we ran into challenges, with the budget, competing priorities, the usual stuff we see. So this is where we had to work with the database team, the technical team, to see how do we align this with their priorities, and that's when we started working with other teams and understood there was an end of life initiative going on for applications, and this definitely fit into that category. Because this was a legacy database lacking a lot of features, which would prevent them from expanding. So what we did was we took a step back, and then in our messaging, working with the database team, as one team as we call it, we aligned it to the end of life initiative, and also to address the budget concerns. What we brought in, one of the funding mechanisms. I'm sure you would have heard about the Migration Acceleration Program, or MAP. So this modernization qualified for MAP, which means they'll get credit for those modernization. So we kind of realigned it to to work well with their corporate priorities. Presented it again, worked really well. So this is where kind of just not just being focused on technical aspect, but also understand the bigger business problem they're trying to solve, understanding their priorities, aligning with the end of life initiative, and then bringing in all the tools and processes that we have at our disposal. In this case, the funding program made it, unblock it, and it was a very successful migration we were able to complete on time.
Awesome. I like that story, actually. Really kind of focus on, you brought in a lot of different stakeholders. You thought about different ways you could solve a problem, and you addressed it. You addressed maybe some possible concerns with how you could help them kind of fund it as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's all about being creative, working backwards from the
Mhm.
customer problem. Yeah. Uh, Moving on to the next area, Jeff. See, there is, as you're working in complex architectures, uh, there's always comes a situation where you may be in a situation you may have to, think about how do I maintain the architectural integrity, because there's a lot of business pressure and
Sure.
and there may be shortcuts available, right? So how do you balance that?
Yeah. As an architect, I have found myself that I can really get kind of caught up in the technical purity of the architecture that I'm designing. And what I also have to remember is that the architecture has to work in reality. And that reality has a number of different components to it. We mentioned it before in terms around people, around, financial, around other things. So it really becomes this balancing act between technical purity and the business reality of achieving that. Really focusing on, clearly communicating the long-term costs of any, technical debt that could be incurred when you start to maybe buy down on some of the architecture decisions. And ultimately, you're gonna have to buy down on some architecture decisions. So I always kind of find it good to start with here's the ideal and having your own set of mind, like where are some things that you can maybe initially even have your own opinion on, creative compromises that you could make that could, you know, still help you implement the solution today and provide a clear path that you could do some technical upgrades later to kind of get it closer to the idea that you have in mind. Also, you want to keep everyone bought into what you're doing, as and words are important. When people are asking, can we do it? Can we do it this way? You know, no is a harsh word, even though you want to kind of say it. You should really kind of think about, what they're asking for and understand it, and then start to say, okay, I know what you're asking for. Here's a way that we could meet that need that you're talking for, the risk that it may introduce, and here's how we could mitigate that risk and manage it along the way. Something I got introduced to years ago uh, from the Software Engineering Institute was a methodology called Architecture Trade-off and Analysis Method, or ATAM. And it still works today because it really brings people into decision-making process, which I mentioned before, and really gives you this structured framework to balance the decision and the trade-off. So if you're getting asked to, let's say, compromise or make a downgraded decision on, let's say, availability, it's great to bring everyone into that process and help them understand what's the trade-off in buying down on that mean, and help them all understand what they're asking for and accepting what it means to kind of buy down on that.
Yeah, so just thinking about it, right? When you talk about managing risk and
Mm.
giving them the confidence to move forward. So, at Amazon, we have this mental model of the one-way door or the two-way door decisions, right? I mean, if for those of you who are not have not heard about it, just a quick background: one-way door decision. I mean, this is to our bias for action leadership principle, where it says speed matters in business. Most decisions don't need to like a deep analysis. And another mental model that at Amazon we follow is if you have 70% of the data that you wish you had, it makes sense to move forward. But coming back to this one-way door, two-way door, one-way door decisions are, they have significant, irreversible consequences. For example, just talking about Amazon Business, or if we decided to build a new data center or a region, that is a significant investment, planning, etc., which is hard to reverse. But two-way door is like you decide to change the color of the buy button on Amazon.com. Instead of orange, you make it blue, and then okay, you get a lot of negative feedback. It's pretty easy to turn back, right? So, Jeff, when you think about kind of position this and helping customers manage risk, do you leverage this mental model?
Yeah, it's a great point. Absolutely. You should understand yourself going into any kind of architecture design work you're doing, and then presentation. What are those things that are one-way door decisions that you can't if we do it wrong to start with, we can't recover from it later. You know, it might be things around security, it might be things around networking. And then what are the other decisions that, you know, we could make it, we could do it one way now and we could change it later, you know. Just kind of going back to what we saw earlier with Carol and the architecture there. Some of the things around security, absolutely. One-way door, two-way door, maybe we refactor 2 of those functions into microservices to start instead of 4. And maybe instead of serverless, we put it in a, you know, still run the monolith in a container, and we can change that later. So, you know, practical examples of showing where you can do something that sets you up for later. And if you don't get it right the first time, you can kind of back your way out of it, and it doesn't cause, you know, irrevocable, you know, it doesn't cause a long-lasting harm to the architecture.
Correct. Yeah. Great point about security, right? We call it job zero. There's no compromise there, but yeah. Now, the other topic that we, or common thing that we run into is, you know, conflicting architectural standards or technical opinions, etc. So when you run into those situations, what is your approach? How do you manage that?
Yeah, you're ultimately going to get kind of in these debates sometime, or in the middle of some debates, that different people have different opinions on things. Unfortunately, technology, some of the technology options out there can get a little parochial sometimes with people. You know, I find one, you know, if you're new to an organization, or if you're, you know, helping, you know, external customer, understanding if they have anything already in terms of like guiding principles to help them with decisions, or enterprise architecture guiding principles. And then I will often, you know, take the team that I'm working with through an exercise of defining architecture guiding principles for the specific project that we're working on. Usually they'll sit above the technology, you know, decision layer, and they kind of help and shape and guide decisions that we're making, such as, you know, how, you know, what's our thought on security, you know, what's our kind of thought on data retention, you know, things that help guide, you know, and really want to kind of create that space where you can hear all the different perspectives that people have on what the solution should be, and respect their opinions, understand, you know, why those differences exist to begin with, and document all the different viewpoints and the underlying concerns. Focus on decisions that are with objective criteria, and where people are probably going to be agreeing with the start, you know, things like security, things like scalability, things like recoverability. Those are usually things that are kind of non-negotiable across different teams or different opinions. Then you can get into the things where, once they're kind of agreeing on those and you get kind of people into the yes mindset, then you can maybe get into things like, okay, how should we, you know, what should the spec look like for this API? Or maybe what should be the runtime for this, you know, particular service? And then kind of doing experiments, small experiments with those different things to get people to kind of see, or sometimes see even other people's way of doing things, can really, really help out there.
Yeah. Just thinking about, you know, kind of breaking it down, like taking an agile approach, right? That's something, right? Kind of, if you're trying to tackle something very complex, instead of going with all of that, let's see, take a portion out of it, right? Like we do a lot of agile workshops with our customers, and kind of see the value. Is this meeting your needs? Otherwise, you know, kind of back out, right? Again, kind of going back to the one-way door, two-way door, but breaking down into smaller projects. Yeah, makes sense. Now, another fun topic, right? How do you navigate organizational politics without getting caught in the middle?
Yeah, for me, you know, we talked about a little bit before, you know, I focus on being objective and transparent, you know, with the work I'm doing and the decisions that I'm making, you know, bring people into the work, into the decisions, document the work that you're doing and the rationale you have for those kinds of things. When you are in discussions about something, make sure that you are building relationships with everyone involved in that conversation, not just one side of it. So, whether you're having discussions with networking and security, get to know both networking and security. Even if you maybe have a background that's really strong in one, get to learn the other side so you can hear their perspective. And in any of the discussions, usually the architect is going to be the person who's going to have to be the person who is the most neutral in those kinds of things. You're going to be, that party that sometimes is kind of the binding agent between the groups that are kind of having some of the friction. Focus on always tying decisions back to the business value and the technical merit. Get people out of that, maybe emotional reaction to thing, and always kind of talk about the outcome that we're looking for. Avoid getting pulled into the debates or the arguments which are not relevant to advancing the architecture. Sometimes you are going to have to debate something out around, a critical element of the architecture. Other things where it might be, something that is a two-way door decision, don't debate it. Just be like, okay, we're just going to go this way, and if we need to change it later, we will. Also know for yourself, like when you maybe need to step away, if you feel yourself getting maybe a little too one-sided, or you're kind of feeling the need to win against a certain group, it's a great time to kind of back away, remind yourself of the business objectives that we're looking for, and then, re-engage in the discussion.
Yeah, great point. See, just looking at it from my role as part of the customer solutions team, same thing, right? We work with teams and run into competing priorities, of course, politics. So the mental model, and you had some great points, is like data. Focus on the business outcome, right? Solving technical solutions is easy. There are so many ways to get to it, but ultimately, what as an organization, what they're trying to do. And once we clear on the business problem, then technical solutions easy. And yeah, completely agree with you there. It's like, know when to step away. This is where we need to make that call. But ultimately, kind of tying back some of the earlier things we talked about, is that this is where relationships and trust matters. Right. Ultimately, everything will depend on it. Right. How do we earn enough trust to align with them on agreeing, okay, this is the business problem we are trying to solve, this is the right solution, even though the competing priority or other things could come in. So yeah, very, very important soft skill you need when you're working with the customers, or for that matter with anyone, right?
Yeah, good.
Moving on to the next question. So when facing with resistance to architecture changes, what how do you kind of persuade or help them make the right decision rather?
Yeah, one, understand the source of the resistance, not just who is the resisting party. Understand what it is they're resisting against. Is it concerns about the technology? Is it concerns about, resources to deliver on this? Or is it something else? Is it financial? Maybe it's emotional type of thing. I once had an experience where I presented a new architecture to an application team, and it included replacing a current system. And I had two people cry in that meeting, and I was kind of taken back by it a little bit because it's something I hadn't experienced in my career before. And in this case, the application team that people had been, the application team had been working at this company and with this particular application for over 20 years. Thus, their personal investment in that was very large. And it taught me that I need to kind of focus on the personal side of the architecture as well, and bring them into the process about this. So, just kind of a story around, a little resistance that I got there, and probably an extreme example. However, when I say it could be technical, could be resource, or could be something else, you sometimes might find that something else is like that. So kind of tailor your approach based upon your understanding of what the nature of the concern is. I've mentioned it before, turn it into focusing on doing some proof of concepts that can not only demonstrate the benefits of the architecture, it can also bring people into the experience of building it. And once they do that, I found that they can generally start to remove some of their barriers to accepting it. find champions within teams that are resistant. Usually you'll find if you're facing some resistance from, I'll say, security team, it might not be the whole team. It might be 8 of the 9 of them. Kind of find that person that might be a little bit more open-minded to change and kind of help them be your champion agent within that. And then break the overall architecture into smaller and maybe less threatening steps to kind of achieve thing. And frame each one of those changes in terms of the benefits to both the team and to the business, and not just that, architecture purity that we talked about before.
Interesting. Yep. Now, have you been in situations where you inherit an architecture that you disagree with, and then and you have to propose change? How do you handle that situation?
Yeah, and I'll go back to some advice I got years ago from a mentor who said, before you knock down a wall, you better understand why it's there to begin with. And I take that same, I've been taking that approach ever since. One, when I'm given an architecture and I'm like, hey, Jeff, enhance it, modify it, implement it, I can't help it. I'm human. I'm probably going to have a reaction to it. One, you got to kind of, push that, know you're going to have that reaction. Doesn't mean you have to respond with the way you feel about it. So take the time to fully understand that architecture and the decisions that were made to kind of get that architecture to where it is. There's probably some context that's in there that you're not necessarily seeing by maybe the documentation that you're given. Then kind of focus on understanding where the pain points and the risks that exist in that architecture might be, and help people kind of work backwards, kind of how do we get those pain points or get those high risk areas out of it. And I often find in my own personal experience, the more time I take to learn the current architecture, I'll find myself becoming less, reactive about it and beginning to understand it more. And I can start to really kind of build that gradual transformation and gain kind of my understand the business constraints, how we can do it, and kind of focus on incremental improvements over that architecture versus a complete rewrite of it.
Yeah, so sounds like based on your approach, there are elements of one of our leadership principles again called disagree and commit. Right? We all don't have to agree on everything, but this is where we make our points clear, disagree, but commit towards the ultimate goal of solving the customer problem. Right?
Yep, and that's a good one, Raj, because when you're inheriting something, there might be things where you're just told, hey, you know what, Jeff, it has to be this way. It's going to be this way, and don't touch that part of the architecture. And I have to disagree and just commit to where we're going forward. And it might be on the other side, if you're the authoritative person here, and we mentioned earlier that there can be this 2 viewpoints and 2 disagree things, and you have trouble restriction. You might be the one who has to just say, hey, you know what? It's a 2-way to a decision. We're going with option A. End of discussion. We'll move forward. We'll implement it, POC it, and then we'll come back and see what the results are.
Makes sense. Hey, we have 3 more minutes left, so I think Prasad, you may need a couple of minutes to close out.
No, we are good, and it's a great discussion which is going on. We can pick up some questions from the audience if you both are okay. And I could keep on listening to you for hours and hours, because this is just of all the things which architects are doing on the day-to-day basis. You don't get this knowledge in any book. You do it, you get it only by doing things on your own. So yeah, thanks for that. So I have a question here which I'm picking up, and Raj and Jeff, whoever you feel comfortable, pick it up. So some smaller organizations sometimes don't have a good documentation, and this involves architecture doc like HLDs. So how do you approach this? How complex it becomes?
Let's see, small organizations don't have good documentation. Yeah, I would say it's not just smaller organizations. I find that exists kind of in all organizations. Your interviewing skills are probably going to have to become good quickly if you don't have them, and kind of not only identifying the SMEs to kind of talk to, but also the questions to ask them. I'd say like have kind of a standardized approach to kind of how you ask questions to get those things. In this, I would also say there is a lot of recent tools out there that can also help you reverse engineer architectures out of code, out of system documentation. I use them personally a ton. So I would advise you to use some of those AI tools and agents that are available from both AWS and other companies out there. They're all good, where you can actually kind of get the architecture when you don't have access to great documentation on it.
I have personally used QCLI sometimes to get architectures, at least on the code side. I understand the design is not just about the code. There are a lot of components like their deployment and all, which you'll not be able to get just by looking at the code. But they are a very good starting point, actually. I was with a customer and they had this very legacy code, and they were struggling because there was only one person who actually knew the code base, and rest all of them have left, and there was no way the person could have scaled themselves. So we tried to do that, and the QCLI was really helpful in doing that.
Yeah, it absolutely can be. And there's even an MCP available out there that will actually use Mermaid and draw architecture diagrams for you based upon the code analysis that it does, which I find tremendously useful.
And yeah, that again comes back to like keep on learning, because these new tools, new approaches keeps on coming. You can't be doing today's job with yesterday's tools, so you need to update yourself. So that's an interesting one. Thanks everyone for your time, and we are up to the mark time. And hopefully everyone has got the gist of what a solution architect role is, what kind of challenges we face, what kind of solutions we have to build up, and how the approach should be. That is more important. Like most of the time, like you may have the best technical ability, but if you are not able to convey it or convince others, it is of no use. That will be not helping you out. So that soft skills, behavioral skills are also very important, and that's why we focus it on both technical and behavioral in BESA session. So let me add everyone on the stage just to say goodbye to you for this particular session, and then we will be hopefully meeting you soon into coming days. But that doesn't mean that we can't be contacted on LinkedIn or Discord or email. So feel free to get in touch, feel free to ask questions, feel free to share your knowledge or any learning or any feedback or suggestion. We would be happy to have you all into new sessions. So everyone, stage up to you if you want to share a few words before we part.
Yeah, I would say complete the knowledge checks. People who have done like 1 or 2 initial batches and then they got busy, you will have time till October 31st. That is 20 days from now. So you will have time to actually go through the recordings, upskill yourself, and take the knowledge checks and get the badge. And anyone who has got all the 6 batches will be getting a certificate. Now, who is the first one who completes it, it will be a good test to see if the certificate pans out well or not, because we have tested the platform. It works well, seems like, but there might be some glitches. In case if you face any glitches, let us know on Discord channel, and we'll be happy to like have that big back and forth to get it fixed. But yeah, anyone who gets all the 6 batches will be getting a certificate automatically. There is nothing manual involved, and that is why we need to do some real life testing.
I
just want to say thanks to everyone.
Yeah, right. I'll ask everyone to be prepared.
You're putting us on the spot. No, thanks everyone for joining us week after week. It's not easy to come for 6 consecutive weeks, go back and do the knowledge check, earn the badge, and even post about it. So really awesome. That's what keeps us going. And we had some amazing presenters this time. We had Jeff, Raj, Kavya. You've seen Kavya in the last 2 sessions, also Carol and Tabby. And I think it was an awesome run. And please come back again. We would love to see you.
Great. Thank you. How about you, Kavya? How was your experience? Second time to you, right?
Yes, I would say first, I'm so grateful for BISA team to having me again in the batch, helping with the volunteering. And yeah, thank you for everyone who have been joining the sessions. I hope the sessions are helpful for you, and glad to connect with you all in LinkedIn and even in channels like YouTube.
Great. Marco?
Thanks, Shishya. It's been a pleasure to be able to contribute this year again. Yeah, I think that this series went really well. It was kind of we had a little bit of a discussion of whether we should do this at all. So I think it definitely met my expectations for modernization, for migration. I think we covered what we planned to cover, and
Exactly.
yeah, 95% of spend on IT is spent off cloud. A lot of enterprises that I talk to on a daily basis, they're still scratching their heads thinking, how do we get our workload in the cloud even? So this knowledge that we've shared with you is really, really, really important right now. And it will be for the next 10 years, even with AI, even with everything else happening. Core cloud knowledge, how to get stuff, how to get your workloads into the cloud is key for sure.
Thank you, Marco. And thanks for sponsoring the prizes too. Going to you, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll say, first, thanks, Prasad, Ashish, and Parna for inviting me in to participate in this with you. My first time getting to participate in BISA. And I think it's important for us to remember that we didn't get here by ourselves. We got mentored and guided and taught along our way so that we could become, successful in the way that we are today. And happy and a pleasure to kind of give back. And I just kind of encourage everyone else that, as you progress in your own career, always be kind of paying it back to the next generation on sharing your learnings and help them, just move technology forward in the way that people help you move technology forward.
That's good saying. How about you, Raj?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you, the team who attended, and the organizing team, especially Prasad and Ashish, who got it started. And thank you for giving the opportunity to be part of it. And I got a lot of comments offline because when I reposted. The couple of people who attended, they found a lot of value. Especially, this is not just a core technology discussion, right? How simple we break it down and how we tie it to daily scenarios, which becomes very very relatable to most people. So I'm thankful and for being part of this, and would love to support future sessions. And as part of the customer solutions team, we work with customers not purely on technology, on a lot of aspects. So these soft skills are as equally important. So we'll love to come back and contribute. And thank you everyone who attended, and for all the hard work here from this one team here.
That's good one, everyone. So thank you again, everyone. And we will be back with some communication. We'll send resources email. We'll send the quiz details, and we will be again seeing you on the quiz draw. The details will follow. So check your LinkedIn and Discord and email. So thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. And hopefully people would be celebrating Diwali soon. So all the best to everyone. Happy Diwali. Christmas is coming too. So Merry Christmas too. But we will see you again in some time.
Yep. Holiday season.
So
Halloween, Thanksgiving, it's holiday season. Yes.
List of thing. Yeah, it's all the chain reaction, I would say. Good. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.